Anyway, yeah, I know I've been owing you guys this video for a while. I put it up on my Twitter that I was going to record it probably a week ago. The only problem is that I had a little bit of a rough week and didn't get around doing a lot of stuff that I really should have gotten done this past week. But I'm feeling a little bit better now, so here we go. On my last video, I mentioned some stuff about the Ten Commandments, and one of my viewers kind of called me out on a couple of things that I didn't get quite right, ish. So I've done a little bit more research. You can probably see some of that in the conversation in the comments that I had with that viewer. Yeah. So here it is. Most Christians that I've talked to, I'm not going to make any kind of blanket statements here, but it appears to me as though this is probably most Christians in general, or at least those that you see on the internet or TV, the news, anywhere like that. Because I've seen this over and over and over again. And when I was a kid, my mom's family is Catholic, so when we go visit my grandparents on that side, we would go to a Catholic church. It was a Church of St. Thomas Aquinas, so it wasn't like as hardcore as some of the other Catholic churches, I guess. But here's the thing. Most Christians that I'm aware of, put it that way, believe that the Ten Commandments are the Ten Commandments, and that's all there is to it, and that this is the first set of tablets that Moses brought down from the mountain. Which mountain? Because, there were two throughout, what book is that? Exodus. Yeah, Exodus. There was the first set of commandments, which are the Ten Commandments that, to my knowledge, are the ones that people want to put up in front of courthouses and all that stuff. The ones that preachers quote all the time. And here's the thing, though. Those Ten Commandments, so far as the Hebrew Bible, the Old Testament, is concerned, those commandments were actually spoken out loud by Yahweh to the Israelites prior to this situation. These are the commandments that Yahweh had given his people, his chosen people, and had told all of them that these are the rules, guys, all right? So let's do this. When Moses went up the mountain the first time, he came back down with 2 stone tablets that had these original 10 laws written on them. And those are the 10 Commandments that most people are familiar with. However, before he actually even got down the mountain all the way and spoke these again as a reminder, and just presented these tablets, he smashed them because he saw the people breaking plenty of them just as he's walking down looking at the camp, including his own brother, who later became the one who spoke the commandments out to the people, the next 2 sets, that is, Aaron, who had made a idol of a golden calf and was, worshiping that. So he sees this, and he smashes the tablet and walks back up the mountain, and says to Yahweh, "Hey, look, man." I'm paraphrasing, obviously, but these people are fucking up down here. Like, what's going on? So Yahweh gives him a second set of commandments, and this time it's said that God's finger writes them on the tablets himself. This set of commandments is, there are a few parallels, but like, just for example, the 10th of those, is, I don't remember the exact wording, but it basically comes down to, thou shalt not raise a kid in its mother's milk, which they're talking about a baby goat, not a child. But yeah, but don't braise a baby goat in its mother's milk. Braising is just a method of cooking that's kind of like somewhere in between baking and boiling. Yeah, and that's weird, right? Like, really, really weird. And so this whole new set of commandments is what Aaron reads to the rest of the Israelites when Moses comes back down the mountain for the second time. And then, 40 years later, when they're finally about to reach the land of Canaan, which that whole fiasco is a completely different subject that I'll probably get into later. Moses goes up a different mountain that is near to the entrance to the land of Canaan, and God gives him a third set of 10 commandments that are a lot closer to the first set, but not exactly. I think that a lot of people just kind of, either they haven't read Exodus, or they, I don't know, maybe they have, but they're using the fashion in which their priest or pastor or reverend or whatever framed it, because there's just a lot of really weird stuff to unpack in Exodus that I'm not going to get into all of it here. That's a whole different video probably, but here's the thing. It took 40 years for God's chosen people to make a 2-week-long march to escape from Egypt into just another part of Egypt. Because at the time that all this is supposedly going on, they leave Memphis and are moving into Canaan, which is about a 2-week march away, with a group of people that was several times more people than the total number of Egyptians living in Memphis at the time. Also, Canaan, the land of Canaan, was part of Egypt at the time. It was a vassal state. So most of that doesn't make sense. I've had it explained to me before that, that Yahweh had cursed or confused, depending on the person who's telling me this, Moses, and that he had caused him to get lost and be confused and lead the people of Israel just around all over the place through this relatively small area of land for 40 years before they got to the place that if they just started walking a straight line from Memphis, where they were leaving, and to Canaan, it would have taken 2 weeks. Not to mention the fact that the numbers of of Israelites, of Hebrews that had left Memphis was so many times more people than the Egyptians had in Memphis at all. So it seems kind of like, well, in that case, like, why didn't they just, like, revolt and take over one of the main cities of Egypt and just, conquer Egypt? I don't know. I guess Yahweh wanted them to kill different people than that, though. So, okay. So that kind of covers that. I mean, I can run through, like, the various sets of those commandments. But now I'm going to move into something else, and I am looking down from time to time because I did make some notes as I did my research for this, and my memory is not nearly good enough to hold all of this stuff in my head at the same time. So there were actually about 1,050 commandments or laws in the New Testament, in addition to the others. But if you like take those and like aggregate them and look at everything, it's more like about 800 different ones. The difference, but like the other 250 are just kind of slight variations on one of the others. So, I mean, counting those is, that's being really pedantic, but which I normally am. I'll be honest about that. It's for better or worse. But yeah, like there's about 800 different laws just in the New Testament that are, they're a collection of, abstain from this, ask this, be this, things you should avoid, just, there's all these different categories, and so we're not even getting into, like the stuff in Leviticus, here. So when many Christians, especially a lot of the internet / YouTube Christians, when it's brought up about biblical slavery or the craziness of the book of Leviticus, or like, well, why are you trying to say that gay people are going to go to hell, but you eat shrimp or crab or whatever? Like, you're not supposed to eat shellfish or pigs or, pretty much any of the things that taste good. You're just not allowed to eat those, meat-wise, anyway. But you do, and that's okay. But if two people who were born with the same assigned gender have sex or just even together, you guys like freak out like somehow this is this huge hell-worthy trespass. It's in the same part of the Bible as the shellfish stuff, though. But you guys always make they always, I guess I shouldn't talk directly to people who aren't here being represented, but from what I've seen and heard, typically they make the qualifier that when Christ came, he made a new covenant with the people that replaced the old covenant, and so the old laws don't matter, but the new laws do, which is not accurate. biblically. I mean, I have not come to change the old laws by a jot nor a tittle, is a thing Jesus says in the New Testament. So, also the whole, I come not with forgiveness, but with the sword, rather, thing. That's paraphrasing a bit, but I mean, that's pretty much what the Bible verse says, and that's in the red letters that are the things that Jesus said himself. These are supposed to be quotes. So if you want to argue that Jesus made a new covenant, basically with humanity as opposed to just the Israelites, well, then you just kind of have to throw out any of the directions or rules or commandments or anything from the Old Testament and only go with the ones in the New Testament, which again, there's about 800 different enough to actually be considered separate rules in the New Testament. To my knowledge, there aren't a whole lot of Christians who even know what all 800 of these different rules are from the New Testament, let alone live up to all of them. And it seems like the predominant thought that we keep hearing from Christians is that a sin is a sin. Like, there's not a ranking system for this stuff. Unless, you could make the argument that there are what the church considers mortal sins, at least in Catholicism and probably some others too, but that are just, this is straight up, you are going to hell, period, you're fucked. Unless, of course, you confess your sins and are truly repentant and, say a few prayers and whatnot. But, so yeah, what is the consensus? What is the idea here? Like, if you make excuses for why, here, I've actually got some of these, so there's 7 abstain from rules in the New Testament, and abstain from idols, abstain from fornication, abstain from strangled meats, abstain from eating blood, abstain from meats offered to idols, abstain from all appearance of evil, abstain from fleshly lusts. That is, my handwriting is really bad. And I can even give you, the verses that actually say the full text of these, don't do this stuff. A lot of that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, like, religiously. Some of that stuff does, and some of the other stuff, maybe kind of like, for the time, maybe some of that was probably preferable not to do, just in general. And then there's the whole ask and ye shall receive. So that's from Matthew 7:7, and there's a lot of places within the New Testament that discuss how if you pray for things, you get them. Not seeing a whole lot of that happening. Ask no return of goods is in what's that? Luke 6:30. So I guess if you sell something or trade something to somebody, or give it to them, I don't know. You're not allowed to, like, it's like a no takesies backsies. I don't know. Ask life for backsliders. I mean, I'm pretty sure the actual term there isn't in the Bible, but I mean, everybody knows pretty much what that means if they're familiar at all with modern Christianity, particularly the United States. There's some B something or other rules. Be exceedingly glad. Be reconciled to a brother. Be perfect. That's kind of an ask. Sorry. Be wise as serpents. That comes from Matt 10:16, and I believe I was looking in like the King James Bible for these. Now, granted, there are going to be various translations of the Bible and so on and so forth, but yeah, there's only so many ways you can take things. Be content with your wages. Right. So you're just supposed to, I don't know. Oh, well, this is what my employer is wanting to pay me. I just have to be content with that no matter what it is, because, I mean, God said I'm not allowed to not be content with my wages. That one's pretty weird too, if you ask me. Be sober and hope. There's another one that's be sober and pray, which, I mean, those are pretty similar, but like there's enough of a distinction there between hoping and praying that it seems like that's a thing you should avoid troublemakers. You should avoid profane and vain babblings. You should avoid false science. You should avoid unlearned questions, foolish questions. You should avoid genealogies. So, like, there's a big chunk of, like, the book of Genesis that let's just take that out, because we should avoid genealogies. Oh, and avoid arguments about the law. This is kind of a recurring theme, though, in the Bible. It seems to reinforce a lot of ideas of inequality and how that's perfectly natural and fine and that's good. Like the whole, like, all leaders are anointed by God. Yeah. And there's the don't be uncontent with your wages stuff, and don't argue about the law. Just avoid arguments about the law. Avoid unlearned questions. So, like, if you don't know that you don't know something, that's better than knowing that you don't know something. I mean, I could read you lists and lists of these rules that are just kind of like condensed down into either a single sentence or even a fragment, but get the general point across. But that doesn't seem to me to make a lot of sense, because if there's all these commandments that are telling you, basically to just keep your head down, do what you're told, don't learn things, don't argue about stuff, especially when it comes to laws or what the leadership says or what your employer has agreed to pay you for any given job or anything like that. It seems like all of it is geared to either preserve the faith itself or to preserve the hierarchy and status quo that exists. It doesn't like actually set up a caste system, but it pretty much might as well, because all leadership, particularly leadership of the church or government where you are, is automatically anointed by God, and so they're speaking for God to you, more or less. You're not allowed to decide that you need to be paid better for the job you're doing. You're not allowed to question things. You're not allowed to. You should avoid finding out that there's stuff that you don't know. There's a lot of emphasis against learning. There's a lot of emphasis against any kind of rebellious act, whether that's toward God or toward your government, toward your employer. And so, I've never been a Christian myself. I'm pretty sure I mentioned that in probably my first or second video. But I've known Christians all my life. I've always had a keen interest in Christianity, just because, yeah, like, it's pretty much the dominant religion in the country I live in, so, and they're constantly trying to legislate Christian morality and Christian values into law all over the place. So I figured I should know as much about it as I could. Now, in my learning about it, including a little bit of firsthand, because, like I said, I'd go to Catholic church with my grandparents probably a few times a year when we go visit them, particularly around holidays. But here's the thing. Not all, quite a few of the commandments throughout the Bible, it's it's basically starts out with God being really jealous and insecure and saying, like, hey, don't worship other gods before me. Don't make idols. Don't, uh, you know, all of that stuff. And then it's like, oh yeah, by the way, also don't kill people and, you know, don't sleep with your neighbor's wife and stuff like that. But the bulk of the laws, particularly the laws in the New Testament, they're all about control. They're all about, you know, be sober. Don't question things. Leaders are anointed by God. Don't learn about things that you didn't know about. Beware of false science, which it's not said exactly that way, but I mean that's what it says. Like, you know, everything in there is either meant to make you not question the people above you, including God, I suppose. It's meant to keep you from learning anything that is not presented to you by your betters. And you know, a lot of religions are this way. There are a fair few that aren't that way. I mean, there's a fairly good amount of, especially older traditions that from different places in the world that, you know, individuality and uniqueness and all that. These are things to be praised, and there's all kinds of ways for you to drag yourself up from even the very bottom to become someone important, somebody to be respected, someone, you know, that has validation from the gods somehow, or something like that. I mean, depending on the religion. But yeah, man, these Abrahamic faiths, like, they all pretty much sound that way. Not the second way, more the, you know, don't cause trouble. Keep your head down, do your job, don't ask questions. Don't try to improve your situation, basically. Just, yeah, somebody tells you to do something, well, if it's your boss, you gotta do it. If he's not paying you enough, too bad. You're not allowed to even question that. If it's a leadership from your government or your religion, well, they were put there by God. So you just have to do whatever the heck they say because, well, they're speaking for God. As far as you're concerned, anyway, people within your country, people within your church or whatever. And that's it. And from a lot of readings that I've done and research and looking into other people's research, it seems that pretty much anywhere in any part of the Bible that it says anything about homosexuality, it was originally more about pedophilia. And so sometime, you know, in the last 100 years, depending on the source, I've seen anything from like a little over 100 years ago to as early as, or to as recent as, like, you know, like the 1940s, to I think I read one thing that even said just 40 years ago, which I think that's probably a mistake. That a lot of these verses that people point to as why homosexuality is wrong are actually talking about, like, why pedophilia is wrong. And that makes a hell of a lot more sense to me. Because whether you're somewhere on the LGBTQ plus spectrum, somewhere in any of that, or anything else for that matter, whether you're on the autism spectrum, you have mental health concerns, whatever the color of your skin, your country of origin, your gender or lack thereof, or whatever it is, if there's something about you that makes you not fit this nice, tidy little mold that people around you want you to. And I don't mean people around you as in your friends and your family, which although I've seen that happen too. If you're not that person, so this is one of the things that I think is so damaging in general about a lot of religion, particularly the Abrahamic ones, though, because that's kind of where my focus is, because that's overwhelmingly the dominant religion that's around me. Being different is somehow sinful or wrong or inexcusable for some reason, or it's a sin just to be that way, even if you don't even do anything, like just being like that up here. If it's something that's not immediately obvious on the outside, just that thought crimes piss me off. It's a bunch of crap, but yeah, these things somehow make you less than. They make you a sinner. They make you bad. That you need to change. You need to. It's all crap. Whoever you are, honestly and truly inside your head, whoever you are, honestly and truly from the outside, all of that. It's valid. Religions shouldn't have some kind of special say-so to tell you that if you're trans or you're gay or you're bisexual and, asexual, whatever, somehow that's bad because some book written by, people in the Bronze Age, or hell, even if it was somebody that wrote it last week, it doesn't matter, because none of that makes you not valid as a person. None of that makes you wrong or sinful or anything like that. You do you. As long as you're not hurting anybody, I could not care less what is going on with you. That kind of came out wrong, maybe. I do care. I just don't care how you identify yourself. I don't care who you're attracted to or not attracted to. Non-binary people, just anybody. It doesn't matter to me. And it shouldn't matter to anyone else. None of this should matter to anyone else. But for some reason it does. And almost entirely because it does, I do care. Because I will always defend the people who are trying to be marginalized or pushed out in any manner that I'm capable. If the people above you or the people around you or whatever are trying to make you feel bad for who and what you are, that's not okay. And I get it. I've talked some trash about Christians and just Abrahamic religions in general in this. But you'll notice, not once did I name anyone. I still respect them as people, as human beings. I don't respect what they're doing. I don't respect their beliefs. I don't respect the religions. But they still deserve the basic respect that we afford any human being. Just because they're wrong doesn't mean we should hate them. Because they think we're wrong, and they hate us. Let's be better. Let's know that they're wrong. Let's believe that they're wrong. But at the same time, not hate them. We can do better. We can be better. In many ways, I think just by embracing yourself and being who you're meant to be, you've got a huge leg up already. So, good night.